day to you, my learners. Are you ready for today's class? If you're ready for today's class, let me hear you say we are ready for today's class. We are ready for today's class. So, our topic today is adjectival clause. As a subject noun, who, that, or which, or who. Adjectival clause as a subject pronoun, which, that, or who. So by the end of the lesson, you should be able to explain the meaning of adjectival clause, explain the meaning of adjectival clause, explain the meaning of dependent clause, explain the meaning of dependent clause. So when we say an adjective clause, an adjective clause is also known as an adjectival clause. What other name do we call adjective clause? Adjectival clause. That's good. So, an adjectival clause is a type of dependent clause that works to describe a noun in the sentence. And who can tell me what a noun is? A noun is a naming word. Yes, you can give me an example of a naming word. Hi. Sobura. Table. Yes, correct. So they said in the case of adjectival clause, all words together to modify, as in your adjective, and your adjectival clause also modifies the noun or your pronoun. Is that taken? So who can tell me what type of clause is an adjectival clause? Auntie. It's an dependent clause, yes. Then who can tell me how does adjectival clause work? It describes the noun in the sentence. Yes, you're correct. So, an independent clause is a group of words that consists of what? Consists of a subject and a verb. Yet, it is not a complete sentence. It cannot stand on its own. Despite that, the dependent clause contains a subject. You know your subject. Your subject is the what? Is the doer of an action in any sentence. Why what? Your verb is a what? Your verb is an action or a doing what or a state of being. Yes. So with all this, it cannot stand on its own. It needs to what? It depends on other clauses to what? To enable it stand on its own. So when you have with this, you start with your relative pronoun, which connects them to the word they describe. Remember what a pronoun is. Can't tell me. A pronoun is used instead of a noun. Is used to what? Is used to what? To describe a noun or gives or tells you more about a noun. Correct. So when we now, for you to have your adjectival clause, it must begin with a relative pronoun. So example of the relative pronouns is they are that, where, when, who, whom, whose, which, and why. So who can tell me the example of the relative pronoun that connects them to the word, as in the relative pronoun they use with the adjectival clause? Who, which, then tell me, your dependent clause consists of what? Subject, and a verb, correct? So who can tell me, can a dependent clause stand on its own or not. Yeah, it cannot stand on its own. Yes, they're all correct. Let's proceed. So, example. No, Charlie has a daughter. Charles has a friend whose daughter lives in England. So if you look at this now, whose there is the what? Is the relative pronoun there. The reason why Sandra went to law school is that she did not want to be a doctor. The reason why Sandra went to law school is that she did not want to be a doctor. So that's there is the relative pronoun. So aside that, I want you to notice that each adjectival clause begins with what? Begins with the relative pronoun that connects it to the noun that is being described. Do you remember that? The function of a relative is what? It tells you about the noun that is being described in the what? In the sentence when you have the adjectival clause which directly before the what? That means that noun comes before the what? Before the relative pronoun in that sentence. So if you look at the example there now, the first one now, you can see you have your who. The noun there is what? Friend. Is that taking? Then your dad. The noun there is what? Law school. Is that taking? So they connect it to the noun that is being described, which comes directly before the relative. So the noun is before the relative pronoun in that sentence. Then each adjective clause above contains a subject and a what? And a verb, all which works together to describe the original noun modified. What it simply means is that if you remember that we said that an independent clause consists of a what? A subject and a verb. So likewise, an adjectival clause or a relative clause would what? Also have a what? Also have a subject or a verb in it, all which they work together to describe the what? The noun that is being modified in that sentence. Is that taken? So now, who can tell me what an independent, before we end this class now, so who can tell me what an independent clause is? An independent clause are clauses that cannot stand on their own. Yes. So, and it consists of what? It consists of a subject and a verb. So for your adjectival clause to function, it must what? It must have a relative pronoun. And what does that relative pronoun does? It's what? Who can tell me? The relative pronoun will describe the verb before that comes before. The relative pronoun will describe the noun that comes before it. Yes. So with this, we've come to the end of today's class. See you next time. Love you. Bye-bye.